kaput. But you're not exactly sure we're ready to part ways just yet.
Well, you gotta look at it a lot of different ways, man. The season just ended the other day, so now they've got to assess everything, and they also got to look at their cap hit and where the cap is going to be. The cap's going to drop from where it is now. You don't want to have your team explode from a salary cap standpoint because there's an emotional decision that needs to be made. Now, maybe Carson is in a situation where, from a mental standpoint, it doesn't matter for him to take less money to work with the cap of the next team. He may be able to do that. He may be able to go back and restructure with Philadelphia to get out of there and say, you know what, man, it's worth it to me. My sanity is worth it to give you some of this money back so I can part and go on. I mean, that it may be worth it. Guys get to that point. I was at that point in my own career when I played for John Gruden and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I let him know at the beginning of the season, no matter what you do, I don't want an extension. I don't want anything. I just want to get the hell away from you, period. You can have it all. I just want to go. And so when you get to a certain point, some things are not repairable. And if that's where he's at, because quarterbacks, and I've said this to Jason and you and other guys my entire career, quarterbacks are sensitive. They are just sensitive, man. They are very fragile, delicate. That's why when people push them up at the top and they don't stay at the top, they crumble as soon as something happens. They fall apart. And that's what you're seeing potentially in Carson Wentz.
I know Carson's disappointed. My job is to get it right. My job is to fix it. That's not Howie Roseman's job. That's Carson Wentz's job to fix it. You talk about quarterbacks being sensitive. So let's go back to before the season started, because here was an opportunity for a quarterback to be sensitive, and I want to show you the way he responded. Granted, he may be one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen to do it. Jordan Love gets drafted. There's a whole lot of swirl about what's going to happen here in Green Bay and what's going to happen with this young stud that's going to come in. You know how Aaron Rodgers responded to it? A 13-3 record, an MVP season. He goes out and he takes it. So now I'm sitting here watching the way Doug Peterson has handled post-game pressers, which has been embarrassing in my opinion, even though you disagree, Key. It's been embarrassing in my opinion, to now seeing a quarterback who looks mentally fractured. And now I see Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson talk about, how do I salvage this relationship? How do I save that? My question is, why are you trying to save a relationship when you have to have somebody who wants to fight for the relationship? If I'm in a relationship and you don't want to fight to stay in a relationship with me, why am I trying to crawl towards you to help you fight for a relationship? You have to want to take it. You have to want to be in here with me. And I just don't know if Carson Wentz has the mental fortitude. And I don't know him. I'm just saying off reports that I hear from all these, great reporters that we have at ESPN. Now I'm wondering about whether Carson Wentz, and whether it's, negotiation talk with agents, really trying to hang it out there to create, a little bit more traction for Carson Wentz. But I don't want to see Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson say, how do we fix this? No, I want to hear Carson Wentz say, I'm going to go out and take it. And that's going to be mine.
Well, look, Jay, as of right now, Howie Roseman said that as of now, they're not trading him. As of today, remember what I said when we first started this segment? The season just ended the other day. They got a long ways to go before they get to making a decision on what they want to do with Carson Wentz at the quarterback spot. There's a lot of conversations that have to take place. Now, when you say that he has to want to be in it, and Doug Peterson's handling press conferences and doing things a certain way, Carson Wentz knew that Jalen Hurts was drafted to play eventually. At some point in time, the kid was going to play, whether it was this year, next year, the year after.
Not necessarily, Key.
He needed to be able to hold him off.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Love was drafted. I didn't see Aaron Rodgers, crumble.
But everybody is different, though, Jay.
I understand.
Everybody mental fortitude is different. Some people can handle certain situations when you draft a guy behind them. Guys get drafted every single year, man. And you think that players in this league that are guys like Aaron Rodgers is going to worry about that? No, he's going to go out there and take care of business. But when you Carson Wentz, maybe you are not as strong from a mental standpoint to be able to handle all the chatter, what goes on in Sports Center, what goes on in the newspapers, what people are saying on sports talk radio. He may not be able to handle that, and that's okay. That's okay. It's up to Doug and Howie to understand what they have at the quarterback spot. Now they see it. Now they understand it. They now can approach it and handle it a certain way rather than do it emotionally because Carson wants to do it or his representatives want to say he wants to be traded. Doesn't mean anything. People tell front office people all the time, every single day, Jay, in every sport, my guy's not happy. He wants to be traded. He needs a new contract. It's how you handle it in the front office.
No question. A couple things we'll quickly mention before we get to the NFL insider Dan Graziano, who's got some juicy stuff after Joe Judge's comments with the Giants, and that would be the simple manifestation of it. Right now, Carson Wentz looks at Jalen Hurts and says, this kid's a baller. This kid can play. All the reports coming out.
Well, I don't know if he's saying that.
Well, I think people look at him and say, this guy's pretty good. This guy has something. Whereas a lot of people, according to the reports in Green Bay, it's been very limited sample size, that at this point,